Hello and welcome to Niallson&Johnson.
Nerds at Law.
And we are going to be talking about Star Wars today. Me and Niall are very big Star Wars fans. If you haven't guessed by me having a stupidly big Darth Vader.
Unnecessarily big.
Unnecessarily big, but he looks awesome.
He has a very forgiving wife.
Yeah. Oh well. In fairness, now this guy used to be in the sitting room. She's not that forgiving. he was relegated to the office, but there he will stay for now. So we are massive Star Wars fans, and part of me and Niall's kind of growing up together in our teenage years was our bonding of Star Wars. So Niall, tell me about your first experience of Star Wars.
So my really early experience of Star Wars is kind of hazy, to be honest. The earliest I remember, my first watching of Star Wars was either my sister renting the original trilogy on video from Extravision in the mid-90s and watching it then, or seeing Empire Strikes Back in the 1997 re-release in the cinema.
You saw that one first?
No, see, this is the thing. I'm not sure which happened first because I was 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
But I do remember that when those videos were rented, I essentially just parked myself far too close to the TV for an entire weekend. Possibly pretended to be sick to get off school so I could keep watching them over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Because you rent a video back in those days for 2 days.
Them's were the days.
So you rent a video for 2 days and you watch it as much as possible. And yeah, obsession began from an early age.
My first, from what I can remember, my first inclination of Star Wars, I remember seeing a video. I can't remember what video it was, but there was an ad at the start of the video, and it was a trailer for, like, I think they were re-releasing Star Wars. So this is the early 90s, and they were re-releasing Star Wars on video, on VHS. And I just kind of remember seeing it. I think even I have a funny feeling I remember rolling my eyes at it a little bit. And now I was like 5 or 6, but yeah. I think the two bits that really stick out to me was Han running into the Millennium Falcon shouting, "Chewie, get us out of here!" And the other one going, "I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm here to rescue you." And so that kind of sat with me, but then not too long after that, we had a neighbour growing up. He was an army man and he was on a peacekeeping mission out in Lebanon.
This is taking a turn.
Yes. Yes. And when he would come back from Lebanon, he would come back with a whole pile of videos. Yeah. And
totally legitimate
videos. And one of those videos was, and it wasn't even mine, it was my friend Jared's. Thank you, Jared. I loved that film more than he did. Hi, Jared. And it was Star Wars on video, and it being the nature of one of those less than legal videos, like the quality wasn't great. It wasn't, but oh my God, I remember I would have been about 6 or about 6 or 7. And I just remember, now, I mean, at that point, I mean, I wasn't really up for reading that whole big spiel, but I just remember watching it, and the big thing that I remember just really taking me in was all those stormtroopers coming in and just and then Darth Vader coming in and just the.
It's funny the sort of sequences that stay with you.
Yeah.
When you're small, like the one I always remember from that couple of days of watching those videos over and over and over again is. I think I watched the second half of Return of the Jedi about 500 times. Like the second hour.
Yeah.
Basically, from as soon as they are beginning their infiltration into Endor.
Yeah.
And I used to just rewind it from there on, and the speeder bike chase is, to me, the most iconic bit of Star Wars.
Interesting.
Yeah, not far be it for me to say Return of the Jedi is the best Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's not, fact. But that's my favorite sequence in Star Wars. Always has been. I love it.
So, I'm sitting there watching Star Wars, and I have a memory of it being the Death Star attack at the end, and I remember my dad coming into it. I think I always remember my attention kind of waning a little bit as we got to that bit, but then I was like, okay, I knew that this was the end of it, so it was coming up. But my dad was coming in, and he was like, "Oh, you're watching Star Wars," and I'm like, "Yeah, do you know this?" You know, and he was like, "I saw this in the cinema when I was 10 years old.
It's a thing."
You know, and he's like, "Do you like this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is really cool. You should watch it too, Dad." And he was like, "Well, there's other movies as well." I was like, "Really? Yeah. If you want, we can go over to Extravision and we can get the next one." I was like, "Oh, cool. Well, what are the next ones called?" I think they're called Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back. I was like, "Right, okay, cool. So which one comes next?" I think it's Return of the Jedi.
Oh God.
So we went to
you told me this
Extravision.
before.
I've told you this before. We went to Extravision. And we rented out Return of the Jedi. Which, for anyone who has watched my previous video on Spider-Man and Sony versus Disney as like Brexit, they have seen my VHS copy of Return of the Jedi. And the reason why I bought that was because it was the same cover. It was that same version of Return of the Jedi that I have memory seeing in Extravision, in the video rental place. And so I go home, put in Return of the Jedi, and of course, again, I'm not reading that big long spiel. And the camera pans down, and there's what I consider, my 6-7-year-old logic mind sees a half blown up Death Star. And I'm like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, so did they not blow it up?
Are they
properly?
fixing it?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I thought it like blew up properly, but apparently not. Seeing as this is continuing directly on from the previous film, and I was sitting there watching. I'm like, okay, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, because then we've got 3PO and R2, going into Jabba's palace, and there's Han Solo trapped in carbonite, and it's like, okay,
wait,
what? And then Princess Leia shows up, releases Han from the carbonite, kisses him, and it's like, someone who loves you. It's like,
really?
What? I was really feeling like I was missing something. And then Luke comes in, and he's a Jedi badass. And I'm like, okay. And then he goes to Dagobah.
Oh, yeah.
To this little green guy with pointy ears, and he's acting like he knows this guy. And it's just, I'm like, even as a kid, I'm like, okay, seriously, I have missed something.
I mean, credit to you as a 6-year-old, because when I was 6, I would have been like, hey, big slug.
And then, Luke asks Yoda, or this little green guy, Master Yoda, is Darth Vader my father? What? Why would you even think that, Luke? Where does this come from? Your father is. Told you, did he? Yes. What? So at that point on, I think I just decided to ride the wave. Yeah. I was just like, okay, yeah,
let's just go for the cool stuff.
Yeah, okay. I'm just, and so, but it's funny because I have less memory of the second half of that film.
Because you basically tuned out at that point.
Pretty much.
No idea what's going on.
Pretty much.
Makes sense.
And I didn't watch it since, and it kind of put me off a little bit. Like I continued to watch the first one because Jared continued to give me a land of it. Thanks, Jared. Every so often I was like, Jared, can I borrow Star Wars again? And he was like, yeah, sure. I don't watch it. And so I was like, yay. But as the years went on, I continued to have not seen Empire Strikes Back. And 1997 comes, and I get to watch Star Wars on the big screen, and I'm like, this is really cool. And then I continue to not have seen Empire Strikes Back, and I haven't seen Return of the Jedi since that first time I got completely confused. And so there was this kind of, I remember this point when I'm like kind of 9, 10, 11, and the prequels, or at least episode 1 came out, and I was kind of totally re-enthused about Star Wars. I was like, wow. And then I'm seeing more and more things. Like I started collecting the Star Wars official fact file, which came out. Yeah.
That was so cool.
Oh yeah, that came out in. Oh,
I used
it really
to go to your
was.
house and just flip through that.
I still have it. It's like 6 binders of Star Wars facts.
It essentially, for Star Wars fans, it's Wikipedia.
Yeah, before Wikipedia.
In binder form.
Yeah, and I was just seeing more and more, and the trilogy got re-released onto VHS again. It was in the lead up to Attack of the Clones coming out, so it would have been 2001, 2002, and then I was at my cousin's house. And I at this point then I saw Empire Strikes Back, and I got watching Empire Strikes Back, and I was just like, this makes so much more sense now. And of course at this point, you knew the Luke, I am your father. Of course he doesn't say that, he says, no, I am your father. But that bit. And play it again, Sam. And but then watching Return of the Jedi, I'm sitting there going, that Emperor guy looks strangely familiar. And my 10, 11-year-old mind, because I knew about the special edition, I knew how, meticulous they were at going back and redoing stuff. So at that point, I was thinking, did they take the actor from The Phantom Menace and go and reshoot all of the Emperor stuff? So it's the same guy? That's what I thought for a good solid year.
Oh wow.
And then I met Niall. And Niall had an amazing thing. And it was called Star Wars Behind the Magic. Niall, tell us about Star Wars Behind the Magic.
I forgot all about that.
Yes!
That wasn't even mine. That was my sister's.
That was your sister's?
Yeah, my older sister. So I have 2 older sisters. And one of them, my love of anything basically with star in the title comes from my oldest sister. And she had this CD-ROM. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if she bought it or if it came with a magazine or something, but it was just in my house from my childhood. And it
was in my house for a while.
Yeah. But it had all these great behind the scenes footage, deleted scenes, like the Biggs
and Luke stuff.
Yeah, Biggs and Luke on Tatooine and all that kind of stuff. God, I forgot all about that.
Yes.
That was great. There were games on it that I was never able to play.
There was a bit where you had a stormtrooper and you could test.
Oh yeah, you could test all the weapons on him.
Yes.
You'd throw thermal detonators at him and
he'd
chop
catch
up
it.
with a
And it
lightsaber.
was like blow him up. And
oh wow.
an Ewok rock where it would just crush him completely.
You know what?
And then the Death Star ray.
You know what? In my parents' house, that computer desk has remained more or less untouched for many years. It's entirely possible that's still there.
Oh my.
And I am going to go hunting for it when I go home today.
Do. It was, and what I loved about it as well is not only, you got all of these facts, and it was this was Wikipedia before Wikipedia in a lot of ways as well. But what I thought was so cool was there were these 2 charts that compared the sizes of the different ships.
Oh yeah.
And so you could see exactly how big Star Destroyer was against a Super Star Destroyer.
And then against a Death Star. And then against the second Death Star.
Yeah, because even that idea, I had no inclination, and of course there's no way of telling that the second Death Star was so much bigger than the first Death Star.
Wow, that's thrown me back a long way.
Yeah. So Star Wars during the 90s was a special time. The time
It really was.
in between the prequels.
The kind of the time when there was no inclination that there was ever going to be more Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we were a wee bit young for that, but we caught the tail end of it.
Caught the tail end of it. I mean, well, my kind of time of getting really, really into Star Wars. I mean, as I said, I loved the original trilogy, watching it on video and all this.
And Star Wars Encyclopedia, which his sister also had.
Yeah, man, Laura had the best stuff.
Yes.
She really did. But I remember kind of late 90s when the trailer for The Phantom Menace came out. And going onto the Star Wars website, which, the internet in 1999 was a very different place to what it is now.
Yeah.
And waiting for hours to download.
Oh, you downloaded
the
it?
2-minute trailer to play on QuickTime Player on the website, and then watching it about 50 times because I had waited for hours to download. So I was like, I'm going to analyze this with my 8-year-old eyes. And
I wasn't that internet savvy at that point.
I was just about. I think we had probably that year got a computer with that level of internet, and my other older sister was a lot more savvy than I was. So I kind of got her to show me how to do these things. Excellent. So that I could be
hijack the telephone line for 2 hours to download it.
To download a 2-minute trailer.
Them's were the days.
But then at the same time, I started reading the early expanded universe novels.
Ooh.
Because again, the wonderful older sister had the Timothy Zahn books, the original...
The Thrawn trilogy.
Which I think, much like your experience of the movies, I read in the wrong order.
Oh no!
I read the second one first.
Oh no. I've only read the first one.
Yeah, I haven't read them in a long time now. Yeah. I've always meant to go back and...
I remember a lot of grimacing.
Yeah.
Anytime the character said something dramatically, they grimaced.
Yeah. But there's so much... Cause from those books and the multi-format Shadows of the Empire...
Yeah.
The massive expanded universe grew, and I dived head first into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna send you a picture to stick at the end of this video of my collection, because I wound up, I think, with somewhere in the range of 60 Star Wars novels.
Oh, including the entire
New Jedi Order trilogy, nice. which we'll get to.
Yes, we'll get there. What I loved about Shadows of the Empire was the Nintendo 64 game.
Yeah, funnily enough, a lot of the games and stuff I never played.
Oh,
the comics I didn't get into. I devoured the books.
Yeah, because you see, that was the thing. I've never been a massive reader. It takes me ages to read anything. I have read, out of Star Wars books, I have read Heir to the Empire, the first of the Thrawn trilogy. I have read the Camus Incident is the name of the thing, but Spectre of the Past, which is another Timothy Zahn book.
Spectre of the Past and Vision of the Future.
Yes,
duology.
But I've only read the first one, and I quite enjoyed it. Yeah. But it just took me ages to read anything.
It was a special case. I think it's the second one, because it came out after the first of the prequels.
Yeah, so there were elements of Palpatine in there,
but there were like droidekas show up in it.
Yeah,
there's a great scene, because you see, obviously in the prequels you have the Jedi who know their stuff, and they see droidekas. And
you're making a mistake. This wasn't Vision of the Future. This was what was it called? Luke and Mara Jade.
Survivor's Quest.
I knew that was a different book.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a different book.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's been too long.
Yes.
I need to jump into the attic.
Yeah. So there are loads of Star Wars novels.
There's so many.
And
but the thing I loved about them was at the beginning of every book, there was a timeline of where each book was set and what came next. So you could be like, you could read a trilogy set in this place. But obviously, if you know Star Wars well enough, which I did, you could say, all right, I've read this trilogy that's set here 5 years after Return of the Jedi. But I'm going to now jump back to here and read this trilogy and read this couple of books and this couple of books, and they're all dotted about the place.
This was something. Now, the Star Wars Official Fact File, the magazine that I collected, it actually gave me access to so much Star Wars lore, which otherwise it probably wouldn't have been, because again, these are the early noughties. So I mean, the internet, in particularly in speed, was still, you know, getting good. Images in particular, like, that's what was so good about this. I'm so visual in the way that I take things in. So this was just full of pictures, full of images.
And that was what I loved about it.
Yeah.
Actually, because I read all the books.
And then you're seeing
didn't
pictures.
have pictures
Yeah.
in them. And then I got to go to your place and see the pictures.
Is that what he looked
that's
like?
What they look.
Yeah.
That's what that ship looks like. That blew my mind.
Oh.
Because when I read a book, I'm picturing stuff in my head.
Yeah.
And I do picture stuff quite vividly.
Yeah.
I mean, the common room, the Gryffindor common room in Harry Potter in the movies just looks so wrong to me. So wrong, and it will never look right. Mm-hmm. But so many characters.
Yeah.
And then there were some of them that I was like, that's exactly what I thought he'd look like.
Yeah.
The Yuzan Vong, exactly what I thought they'd look like.
They're terrifying.
Talon Card, exactly
yes,
what I thought.
and the wild card.
And the wild card ship.
Which appeared in Attack of the Clones.
That's right, yeah.
As they're landing down into Naboo. Yeah.
So there was so much stuff like that I really devoured and really, really hoped and prayed that it would show up in the movies. You know, all these characters, especially the books set in the prequels. Much like you get now with the Marvel TV shows, hoping that they'll show up in the movies. I'd be reading these books, hoping when I saw the next movie that there would be any mention of Quinlan Vos.
And he got a mention in Revenge of the Sith.
He did.
Master Vos.
Aayla Secura.
Yes.
In Attack of the Clones. A whole character they put in the movie who originated
the blue
in
Twi'lek with the big long head tails.
Coruscant.
Yeah.
Coruscant came
that
from...
was Timothy Zahn.
Coruscant first appeared in Heir to the Empire.
Yeah. Although, did he give it... he gave it its name, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think before that it was
Imperial Center.
Imperial Center, that's right, yeah. No, I mean, the Coruscant we get in the movies is very different to the Coruscant described in the books.
But of course, Captain Retcon manages to make everything work. That was another really fun thing about being a Star Wars fan during the 90s, and particularly even more into the 2000s, was just being able to accept when things just didn't
quite mesh,
but you just made it mesh anyway.
But that's fine.
You know, they're like, oh, this, you know, when you're reading a book and it's like when Senator Palpatine ordered the clone army, it's like, it wasn't Senator Palpatine, it was Chancellor Palpatine at that point. But, you know, because we were so smart, because we were like 14. And, but it was just, that was because the times of the prequels was very much then when we hit our teenage years.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I was 10 in 99. I was actually in London the week after the premiere of Phantom Menace, and I still remember the big massive Phantom Menace poster up on the Odeon in Leicester Square. I remember that, and I was like, and because I was a huge, at that point I had really bought into the hype. Lego Star Wars had just become a thing, and I was hunting everywhere for my very first Lego Star Wars set was the Swamp Attack with Qui-Gon Jinn, Jar Jar Binks, and 2 battle droids on what are they called? It's like a staff or something like that, but
Stap.
I knew it was something like oh man, oh, and.
Well, no, I got my Phantom Menace one was a Christmas present. It was a big one. It was a Naboo Starfighter.
Nice.
Yeah. I went to my grandparents' house and this box came out and I didn't talk to anyone for days. Mm-hmm. I plonked myself in the middle of the living room. So they all had to work around me assembling this. And there was a good... I mean... Maybe not now.
Oh, I know. I'm pretty sure I got it. I got that too that Christmas.
Yeah, I'm sure if I look back now, it probably wasn't that big, but to 9-year-old Niall, it was massive.
It's really funny though. Have you seen like the modern Lego Naboo Starfighter?
No, I don't have the money.
No, but have you seen it though?
No.
Because obviously Star Wars bricks have gotten much sleeker since then.
Yeah.
And it's really funny when you go back and look, because the Naboo Starfighter in particular, like Star Wars for the most part lent itself really well to Lego because, you know...
Original trilogy Star Wars, everything was clunky and boxy and...
But then you've got the Naboo Starfighter, which is just this beautiful, sleek thing. And when you look at the original Lego model of it, it's just so bricky, and it's quite funny just to see. But I remember I got a CD-ROM that came free with a newspaper on a Sunday morning.
God, a good CD-ROM was just the best, wasn't it?
And on it was a whole teaser for Attack of the Clones. This new movie. There was a time between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones where there were massive rumors that Leonardo DiCaprio was going to play Anakin Skywalker.
Really?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
And at the time, everyone was like, oh no, Leonardo DiCaprio, oh, that guy from Titanic, oh, that guy from the beach, oh, it's going to be, he would be terrible. Yeah. Academy Award winning Leonardo DiCaprio. Could you imagine Leonardo DiCaprio playing Anakin Skywalker?
Yeah, I could actually.
That
would be great.
Like, you know, at that time, he would have been perfect. And his fall to the dark side.
I mean, things have been fixed in Star Wars before. They could go back.
Oh, I know.
Deep fakes are a thing now.
Yeah, that is true. That is actually very true. Yeah. Anybody out there who does deep fakes, can someone please deep fake Leonardo DiCaprio, young 2000 Leonardo DiCaprio, onto Anakin Skywalker, just out of curiosity.
Just a couple of scenes.
Somebody did that with Tom Selleck on Indiana Jones.
Yeah. I wasn't too gone on that. All I could see was Harrison Ford with a mustache.
Yeah. But still,
we got to see Harrison Ford with a mustache.
But just all of those things were every single time, and particularly, you know, when you weren't an adult, you know, like you couldn't just go and buy a movie magazine, you know, or like, because those things were expensive when you were 12, you know. It's like because the magazines that you'd be getting were like £3, and then this one was £6 or £7. You're like, woo. And that CD-ROM, it had a teaser, and this is what was so good about it too, because you didn't have to download it; it was on the CD. It had a teaser trailer for Attack of the Clones, and it had a behind the scenes teaser reel for it, and so there were just so many things. I watched that over and over and over again. Oh. And then Attack of the Clones came out, and it was the best movie I had ever seen. It really was.
You know,
it really was, and it was also Chris Hewitt's favorite movie, 5 stars apparently on the Empire podcast.
There's a great YouTuber. There's a channel called Movies with Mikey. Have you ever seen this? He's
not sure.
I think I might have shown him to you.
Yeah,
he's excellent, brilliantly edited videos, and he did
a
retrospective on Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
I think it's called What Star Wars Means to Us. It's brilliant, but he goes through the release of every movie, and ever since Empire Strikes Back, every Star Wars movie
has been compared.
Has been the best one since Empire.
Yeah.
I mean, with the possible exception of the last two, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But all the prequels were, this is the best Star Wars since Empire. Every single one of them. And, I mean, Attack of the Clones, when you watched it, when it first came out, it was the best movie since Empire.
I mean, the bits... I think ultimately, I think it was Red Letter Media's infamous great three multi-part review of the prequels. I think just it hit the nail on the head so well with saying how there are bits of Attack of the Clones that are infinitely better than the Phantom Menace, but there are also bits that are infinitely worse.
I mean, this is the thing though, as sort of universally derided as the prequels are, I can still watch them over and over again.
Oh, totally.
I mean, we have done together. We have sat and done Star Wars marathons.
Yeah.
And happily sat
Yeah.
through and just watched them
Yeah.
and talked about how great certain sequences are.
And one time took a break in the middle of it to watch the season 2 finale of Doctor Who.
Yeah. Daleks versus Cybermen.
Yeah.
Battle of Canary Wharf.
And I had never watched it at that point,
Yeah.
and I was just like,
I have no idea what's
I have
going
no
on.
idea what's going
But
on.
those robots are trash talking those
Yeah,
robots.
boy.
My favourite moment, actually, to interject briefly, of any Star Wars marathon we ever did
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say.
was the scene in Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
And Mace Windu is fighting Palpatine, and Palpatine, you know what I'm talking about, do you?
Oh, I'll know it when I hear it.
So Palpatine's blasting
Yes,
Force
yes.
lightning at Mace Windu.
Yes.
And Mace Windu's reflecting it back at him. And I was about to ask John a question. This question just popped into my head, and John, without me saying anything or even giving any indication that I was about to ask a question, John turns around and says, "Oh yeah, Yoda was able to catch it because he's more powerful than Mace Windu, and Mace Windu could just reflect the lightning back at Palpatine." And it was the most get out of my brain moment I've ever had in my life.
And it was also the geekiest moment where it was
yeah.
just like, we were both thinking it, but
we'd never had a conversation about it. It had never been mentioned before. And you just turned around and answered my question before it had even fully formed in my brain.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah. That was quite entertaining. Yeah.
Those were special times.
Something really...
There's a lot of pizza eaten in those.
Yeah, there was. Something that was really special about post Attack of the Clones was it was as if finally there was handcuffs taken off. There it was like a seal had been released. All of a sudden, people were able to explore the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And it was a really special time.
There was so much new.
Yeah.
It wasn't a case of just we've had this movie and now we're waiting for the next movie.
Yeah.
There was so much new media
leading up to Revenge of the Sith.
I mean, Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2, the PS2 games were.
Well, now Battlefront 2 came out after Revenge of the Sith.
This is true, yeah. But the first one, it was a gem of its time.
Yeah. It had a preview level of Kashyyyk.
That's
in there.
right, yeah. And
you had the Clone Wars video game, which is it's a damn good game.
I didn't like it.
Oh,
I tried.
That's because I would trash you in the multiplayer.
Yeah, but you trashed me in a lot of games.
Yeah,
I still love playing. Which one was it? Rogue Squadron?
Yes.
Yeah, I still loved playing it, even though you trashed me every time as well.
And again, the 2000s were an excellent time for Star Wars games. Rogue Squadron...
I mean, to be fair, other than Battlefront, they were all GameCube.
Yeah,
they were all Nintendo. Nintendo did the best Star Wars games.
Although some of them came out in the PS2, but yeah, I mean, Rogue Leader and Rebel Assault... was it Rebel Assault? Rogue Squadron 3, whichever it was called. They were GameCube exclusives. On top of that, you had Star Wars Clone Wars, which had a damn good multiplayer, and it was really fun to control those sidewinding tanks. And then Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which was a prequel to Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Oh my! And it was so good on the GameCube because of the massive
I played it on PS2.
Yeah.
And I remember playing it on PS2 and thinking, this story is fun, it's a fun game, but I just wasn't getting into it. And then I played it on GameCube at your place, and it was a whole new...
Because you're just mashing that giant A button, and it made you really appreciate Jango Fett so much more.
Yeah. And then, but even, Zam, who's barely a character
Yeah.
in Attack of the Clones,
Yeah.
but it's one of those beautiful things in Star Wars, or in all Star Wars anyway.
Yeah.
Basically, any character who had a line in a movie or a close-up had a full backstory that you could explore in some form of media.
Back in the day, there were little lines in movies that ended up having an entire backstory, and those lines back in the 2000s were known as Bounty Hunter on Ord Mandel. or Ord Mantell.
Yeah.
And that's what those lines were like, when there was just this little throwaway reference to some randomy thing on another planet. There ended up being an entire story behind that. And that example is from Empire Strikes Back. Well, that bounty hunter on Ord Mantell changed my mind. And it turns out that was actually Dengar.
That's right.
And, you know, who is one of the bandaged up bounty hunters who appears in Empire Strikes Back. But every little thing of that. But the thing was, it got to a point where they were so prepared for that by the time Revenge of the Sith came out, every single Ord Mantell line in Revenge of the Sith was already mined and had a novel ready to go, or had a comic, or had a game ready to go. But the video games at the time, because what else do you have? My all-time favourite, Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast.
Again, another game that you trash me in every time. And yet I still loved it.
Kyle Katarn, you're the legendary hero that defeated Jerick at the Battle of the Jedi.
There was some wonderful voice acting in that game.
You look like no more than a bantha.
Yeah, well, you look like an overgrown Quakian monkey lizard. Hand her over. Man, flashbacks.
Man, Kyle Katarn as well in the old expanded universe was a great character. They kept him going for so long.
Yes.
I think he was still going strong when that expanded universe ended.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't get into obviously they jumped ahead a couple hundred years, but at the point where it cut off, which was, I want to say 45-ish years after Return of the Jedi, they went that far. Yeah. And Kyle Katarn's still going strong as a member of the new Jedi Council.
I wonder, because his lady friend, Jan Ors, I often wonder, was her name somewhat changed update into Jyn Erso? Because I find those names are coincidentally quite similar, and both characters were integral in the stealing of the Death Star plans.
That's a good...
Because before Jedi Knight, you had Dark Forces, Star Wars Dark Forces, and that starred a non-Force user, Kyle Katarn. It was a first-person shooter, a la Doom. It was a bit like Doom, and this came out like in the mid-90s, and I'd never played the entire game. I had only ever played a demo version, which was the first level, which I played over and over and over again, where you steal the Death Star plans.
We did a lot of things over and over and over again, didn't we?
The Death Star plans have been stolen. I don't know how many times at this stage. So, like, Kyle Katarn stole them. That Twilight girl in that Game Boy Advance game stole them. Yeah.
Which one was that?
Yeah, it was. I can't remember the name of it, but there was a Twilight girl in a Game Boy Advance game that stole the Death Star plans. And I never played it, but I just knew, there's another one where the Death Star plans get stolen. And they also get stolen somewhere else. They end up getting stolen in
Battlefront 2.
Yes, Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they also get stolen in Force Unleashed. Remember, at the very end, he dives into the Death Star to find it, or...
I definitely played those games.
Yeah.
But there's very little I can tell you.
I'm just getting flashbacks.
Those games, I mean, they were pre-sequel trilogy, they were pre-Disney, but they went against so much of my Star Wars expanded universe that that anytime there was any talking going on, I kind of just brushed it to the side and said, this doesn't matter to me because it's not real.
Although what was nice was they did have, was it Talon Card? Or no, there was one character, he had a big kind of beardy type person. He was present at the founding of the Rebel Alliance. Was it Talon Card?
Was it Talon Card?
It was someone like that anyway.
No, it was, what was his name? Oh God, that's going to do my head in.
There you go, you're welcome.
I hate you.
They had him present in Force Unleashed as a little as a little tip of the hat to the expanded universe fans.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be tuned out for the rest of the podcast now because half my brain's going to be trying to remember that.
Excellent. Do you want to just Google it?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Where's my phone? It's on.
Just Google it.
Yeah.
He's going to Google it.
We can keep talking.
Yeah, there were. The Death Star plans were stolen so many times. On top of that, you also had Yeah, with but in the time beyond Attack of the Clones, you had all of this new stuff coming out based on the Clone Wars. And his name nearly popped into my head there.
Yeah, there's a G in it.
There's a strong A in it. I'm wanting to say there's a very prominent A in the name.
It's in the first game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Story synopsis. Where are we at? Casting characters. Here we are.
No, he wasn't voiced.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he wasn't voiced.
Garm Bell Iblis.
Garm Bell Iblis.
Yeah.
There's a strong Garm Bell Iblis. There you go. Garm Bell Iblis. There you go. Deep cuts. Oh dear. So
he was a badass in the expanded universe.
So you had all of these Clone Wars stories coming, and what was so cool was you were almost getting a live feed of. It was almost as if the Clone Wars were happening
because it was the 3-year gap.
Yeah, because you had the
because
Attack of the Clones came out in 2002, and Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. 2005, and so you had that time in between, and as more things were being uncovered about Revenge of the Sith, you had the stories beginning to match that, like Anakin getting his long hair, like Obi-Wan getting his hair cut,
Anakin getting the scar.
And that's what was so cool as well, was you had one of the standout things that came out was the cartoon web series Clone Wars, not the CG one, but the Genndy Tartakovsky, who at that point had done Samurai Jack, and this was essentially Samurai Jack
but
Star Wars.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh my god, he was in talks for a while doing trying to get a Dark Crystal project off the ground, but it never worked. I think he now does the Hotel Transylvania movies.
Does he?
I think he does. But oh my god, that series. So the first series, there were 3-minute shorts that were released on the Star Wars website, and so there were 3 minutes, so it didn't take too long to download.
Were they not Cartoon Network?
They eventually.
Or did they eventually?
They were eventually, but they were.
Because I remember always seeing them because I didn't have Cartoon Network.
Yes.
So I'd go over to my next door neighbor's house, and we'd be watching. Well, Cartoon Network.
I think maybe the second season was... No. They were released online, but on top of that, they were put in as little segments.
They were like before and after certain shows.
Yeah.
You would get 3 minutes of Star Wars cartoon, and I would go to his house, and we would watch TV, basically just in the hope that I'd see a new one.
Oh man, it was so cool because you had Clone Wars. It was the Clone Wars, and because of the style of the animation, everything was so insanely exaggerated.
Yeah.
You had characters who had been in comics, like Dirge, this big giant bounty hunter with armor. He was in it, and you're like, oh my god! And you heard his voice, even though he just laughs in it. But you heard him, and you're like, ooh, hearing what he sounds like, and then. And you had this amazing episode with Kit Fisto, the aquatic legend with a wonderful smile. You had the 2 or maybe 3-part episode of Mace Windu.
Mace Windu versus the entire army.
Oh my god!
Dantooine.
He loses his lightsaber and actually beats the crap out of all of these super battle droids. And then once he gets his lightsaber back, he's just like and just slices through everything. He's a force of nature.
It's beautiful.
And so the season finale, the final episode, was the reveal of this new character that had been rumored. Now, I remember there was a magazine in the youth center. I went to the Youth Information Center at Letterkenny when I was a teenager.
Represent.
Good times. And shout out to the Donegal Youth Service and all in the yick. And there was a magazine. It was a PS2 magazine, and this was one of the heavy duty ones, which costed about €8. So I wasn't going to be having this. And there was a whole section on Battlefront. And a review of Battlefront, but along the side, there was a plot synopsis for the yet to be released Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, damn.
And this was the first time I ever read the name General
General
Grievous. And I was reading this, and as it turned out, it was pretty accurate. Like, whoever leaked it, did a damn good job. And at that point, I was just like, I want to know every single thing about this film.
Yeah.
I want to know
at that
everything.
age, spoilers weren't a thing. You
Yeah.
just wanted to know.
But not only that, but I mean, there's only so much you can be spoiled, particularly with Revenge of the Sith, because you know how it's going to end.
Yeah.
You know how it's going to end.
It's the journey, John.
I know,
it's the
I know.
journey.
Exactly. But but that was the thing. And so this season finale of Clone Wars revealed General Grievous, and he double-handedly.
Quadruple-handed.
No, not at that point. They haven't released it at that point. Although he does pick up one of the lightsabers with his foot, and he takes on Ki-Adi-Mundi. What's her name? Shakti, I think, was there. Maybe, I think Aayla Secura might have been there. Basically, a whole pile of really badass Jedi Masters.
And
he destroys them. And the music, it is terrifying. And it was at that point as well that Gary Oldman had been checked to be... Yeah, Gary Oldman was originally going to be playing General Grievous. Yeah.
God, we missed out.
Oh.
Actually, no, you know what?
I mean,
the General Grievous we got was great. He's such a cartoon.
He's
Such a brilliant cartoon villain. He's essentially Mr. Burns in robot armor.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I expected you to be a little older.
So when you watch that episode, you can hear the voice actor trying to imagine how Gary Oldman would play it. So it's completely different. It's like, Jedi, you are surrounded. Your army is decimated. Make peace with the Force now, for know that I, General Grievous, am not completely without mercy, for I will grant you a warrior's death. Prepare.
How long since you watched that?
About 10 years. But the question is, how many times did I watch that in the 10 years before that?
Yes. but what I love is then at the end of season 2, they managed to retcon it into how he would actually sound.
Exactly.
When Mace Windu just crushes his chest. So suddenly he has a cough.
Yeah. So season 2 comes out about a year. Now this ends on a complete cliffhanger. It jumps. General Grievous jumps up, about to fight Ki-Adi-Mundi with 3 lightsabers, and it cuts to Yoda. Dark and terrible times are these, or something like that, and that's it. And you're like, what's gonna happen next? And so then the second season, I think, was 4, maybe 5 episodes, and they were 20 minutes each. Oh, they were fabulous.
Yeah. And they were finally full episodes.
Yeah, they were full episodes, but they also bridged the gap between episodes 2 and 3, because these were made.
These were almost a lead up to episode 3.
They were made in tandem. So all of the designs, they're all episode 3 designs. So you're watching this going, oh, that's what that ship looks like. Oh, it got so good. And Anakin loses his arm for the umpteenth time. So Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader loses his right arm. Yeah, loses his right arm so many times. So he loses it at the end of Attack of the Clones. It gets blown up at the end of Clone Wars. I think he might have lost it as well in the Clone Wars video game, but I'm not sure, so don't count it. Luke cuts it off in Splinter of the Mind's Eye. When he returns to the Emperor and saying, yeah, Luke got away, the Emperor cuts it off. Luke cuts it off again in Return of the Jedi. And I think there was another one where he was hunting down a Jedi post episode 3, and they cut it off as well. Funnily enough, in Revenge of the Sith, when he gets all of his other limbs lopped off, he doesn't lose that one.
That's right.
So,
but what's funny, to go off on a bit of a tangent here, though. See, while all this was coming out, all the Clone Wars stuff, all the lead up to Revenge of the Sith, so much of that passed me by.
Yeah.
Because I was
a bookworm.
I was a bookworm. But also, it was there, and I knew it was happening.
Yeah.
But I was so deep into the post-Return of the Jedi stuff at this
Yeah.
stage that the Clone Wars didn't matter to me very much.
Yeah.
Because at this stage, I would have been reading the New Jedi Order, which is... It should be a goddamn HBO show. It's so beautifully vast.
Yeah.
And, I mean, ridiculous things happen in this book. Authors were sent death threats over things that happen in these books. You know, the very first book ends with Chewbacca dying. Spoiler alert.
Vector Prime.
Vector
Prime.
Prime.
That's the
It's
only,
the only
one
one
I've
he
read.
And he couldn't go any further.
That was emotional.
But these books, for those who haven't read them, are set... They span 5 years. 21 books, I think. They start 25 years after Return of the Jedi. In a time of relative peace. You know, doesn't happen very often in Star Wars. And out of nowhere, these new bad guys come in. No one knows where they've come from. No one knows how to beat their technology. And the Jedi can't sense them in the Force. And they've come from another galaxy on a holy crusade to eliminate the infidels and destroy everything.
And they're completely biologically based.
They have no actual technology. Everything,
well, technically they have technology,
okay,
but they have no mechanical technology.
They don't use electricity. They use, you know, their
organisms.
Their armor is alive.
Yeah.
You know, when you hit them and it hits their armor, it hurts their armor, but it doesn't hurt them. And the armor regenerates and grows back straight away. And their ships fly based on animals that can project gravity wells, and it's ridiculous and so well thought out, and it goes on for so long. And the best thing about it is, halfway through the series, they basically win.
Yeah,
and
it's dark.
You know, they capture Coruscant.
Because even though I didn't get to read them,
they were in the fact file.
They were in the fact file. So anything that I didn't get to, I got to read about it in the official Star Wars fact file.
And I mean, not every one of the 21 books was a masterpiece. You know, not to pick any out, but some of them are very formulaic. Oh, we'll go do this and this will happen and then there'll be a big space battle and that's it. But some of them were so almost cerebral. There's a book by Matthew Stover called Traitor. And it's
I think I know
set after the capture of Coruscant. And two of the main characters in this series are Anakin Solo and Jason Solo, who are Han and Leia's sons, and Jason's twin sister Jaina. But in this book,
Jason and Jaina,
great characters. But in this book,
we'll get to that.
Halfway through the series, Anakin, who is built up throughout the whole first half of the series to be the new hero of the Jedi and the new Luke Skywalker, and so much of the series tries to be about passing on to the new generation, the new Jedi Order. Funny that, isn't it? And then halfway through the series, they kill him. Just out of nowhere. He dies a hero's death, goes out. Then the next book is his brother Jason trapped on Coruscant, which has been captured and is being converted. It's being terraformed. So the whole city is being drowned and consumed by a jungle, and he's on the run.
It's like War of the Worlds. The red weed. And
he's being helped by this strange creature who is a former Jedi or a grey Jedi or a Sith, and he doesn't know. You find out later what she is. I'm pretty sure she was a Sith. But anyway, helping him to have this real deep sort of existential crisis about what the Force is and how he uses the Force.
Yeah.
And why these new creatures don't exist in the Force.
Yeah.
And how to learn to feel in the Force. And it's so good.
Is it something along the lines of like sense the space around them or something?
That is part of it.
Yeah.
But then it's I think in the end it comes to they were it's a long
they were banished from the Force or something.
Essentially banished from the Force.
Yeah.
In their old galaxy, and they had crossed interstellar space, which in Star Wars is all set in the one galaxy. It's easy to think like, oh, we'll go from galaxy to galaxy, but that doesn't ever happen in Star Wars.
This is just the one galaxy far, far away.
it's all set in the one galaxy, and it's a huge deal. They have what they call interstellar winds that prevent you from leaving the galaxy.
Yeah.
So it's a huge deal that these aliens have come from another galaxy to invade. And that's another thing about it. It's
no one knows where they come from.
But no one even believes in them for the first one. I'm like, that's right. They don't have like mechanical technology. They come from another galaxy. These can't be real. Oh, they've destroyed our planet. Oh.
They did what?
They're still probably not real.
They did what to Hard Home?
Yeah, it goes on for so long. It's I think the first half of the series is essentially the Half-Blood Prince when Ministry of Magic doesn't believe that Voldemort come back. Or Order of the Phoenix.
Order of the Phoenix, yeah. Or, when the entire or half of which is denying that climate change is a thing.
Yeah. But it's such a vast series. It'll never happen now.
No, and we will get to that. But that's where we're going to leave it for now, because we're coming up to the hour, and we're going to have an entire other hour to chat about all the rest of this stuff.
I mean, over the course of the next few months, we may have multiple hours where we talk about Star Wars.
But in the next one, we're going to get to Revenge of the Sith. We're going to get to that bizarre space and time between the prequels and the sequels, and then of course we will get to the sequels.
And of course, actually, at time of recording, we're only a few days short of the release of The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah,
it's coming in a few days, so we will at some stage.
In a few days? Oh wow. I wasn't even ready for that.
I mean, by the time this goes up, it will have been released.
Yeah,
everyone will have opinions about it. But we will, at some stage, have a sit down and a chat about it. Nice little, maybe just short breakdowns, half-hour little breakdowns.
Because this guy's going to New Zealand.
Yeah. This is probably one of the few times you'll actually see us sitting in the same room.
For now.
Going forward,
who knows?
There will hopefully be a little split screen thing going on. Over Skype.
We'll sort something out.
We'll figure something out. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to keep having these conversations.
Yeah.
So we may as well keep recording them.
Yeah. So, while we are here, if you have enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, my other YouTube channel, John D. Ruddy. You can find all sorts of Many Man history videos.
And you can find us together as a duo on Twitter at Nerds Law, where, well, we haven't done much yet, but
you'll see. We'll show you.
We'll be active.
Yes.
It'll happen.
It will.
Bye.
Bye.